Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you to HartmanBaldwin's latest construction showcase, where this evening we're going to talk a little bit about this beautiful project that you see ahead of you and how we spent some time with our clients here to help them realize their dream home, because this was their one and last dream home. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, show you this fun project. Hopefully you guys have had a chance you enjoyed this day, settle down for the evening, have a comfortable place to seat so you can spend the next 45 minutes with us or so, exploring this beautiful home in Pasadena that we had this wonderful chance to work on. What you're looking in front of you is a couple of the finished results. The first one we saw was the beautiful kitchen, and then this wonderful Zen-like backyard with a wonderful lap pool. We're going to dive into more detail on this in just a minute. But before we go too much further, I want to introduce our presenters tonight. My name is Bill Judson. I've been with HartmanBaldwin for going on 15 years now as a design build consultant. Also with us this evening is Bill Baldwin, who served as the design build consultant. And given the name, you probably are not surprised that he has been with our 35-year-old company for 35 years. So welcome, Bill. Thank you. Also with us tonight is Reg Abersack. Was the project manager. So he was in charge of the construction of this project, making sure we were staying on schedule, that it was all coming together the way that everybody had envisioned, and that when we handed over the keys, they were indeed enjoying their new perfect dream home. So welcome, Reg. Very excited to have you guys with us tonight. A little bit just before we go too much further, I mentioned, who is HartmanBaldwin? I mentioned we've been around for a little over 35 years now. We're a true design build firm, meaning right from the get-go, we said, hey, a project can be so much better, both from an experience point of view, a design point of view, a quality point of view, a schedule point of view, everything, if we can bring our designer and our builder together right from the beginning. Because in a lot of ways, if you think about it, your designer, your builder, yourself, we all have the same goal, right? We want to have a beautiful project, and we want to have a good experience in getting there. And over the last 35 years, we've really honed not just our design and our construction skills, but our whole process to get you there and get you what you want and have a fun time getting there. Let's just, go through, show a couple of quick pictures here. As I mentioned, this was a kitchen, the before picture. But the clients wanted it to be so much more, to be much more reflective of them and then the way they wanted to live. So in a minute, you'll see the transformation come into this beautiful kitchen and some hidden doors, some really cool features. When we get into the home tour, we'll talk a little bit more about it. Also, I mentioned the Zen-like backyard, and it actually comes in through the master bedroom and into the master bathroom. You'll see that in the next slide. That's a before. Not a bad bathroom, but really they wanted to make it something special, something unique to them. So before we go too much further, we're here in California. We're almost a year into our pandemic, right? Everybody hopefully has become pretty familiar with Zoom and the Zoom format. I do want to mention, if you should have a question, you can tap on the Q&A. I have an iPad. It's up at the top, little Q&A. Tap that. We've got a couple people in the background, Carla and Jesse and Danielle and Christina, and they'll be able to answer questions during the webinar. If for some reason they're more of a general question and we want to hold those to the end, we think that is something that the whole audience would be interested in, we'll take some more questions at the end. But certainly during the presentation, if you have that, go ahead and drop that question in there, and one of our participants will answer that. Okay, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the design build process, because that's really what we use to get these beautiful projects accomplished. And when we started the company, we really started to think about, what does it mean to be a true design build firm? you know, and looked at how can we do this in a way that keeps the client in control, that gets you what you want, and is done in a way that is a good experience for all of us. Because you hear so many horror stories of people involved with remodeling. And I'm here to tell you that if you as a client, as a customer, are having a bad experience, then we probably are too. So if we can figure out how to do this in a way that everybody can be, you know, in control, getting what they want, then it really can lead to some great outcomes. In front of you, you can see basically it's three main parts. We have the conceptual design. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Then we'll move into the design development. That's when we'll figure out all of the details. And then once we have the details all figured out, we can move into construction. So let's dive a little bit deeper. I won't spend too much time on the conceptual design, because if you're interested, we do have another video. If you go to our YouTube channel, on YouTube, you can search HartmanBaldwin, and you'll find Avoiding Remodeling Pitfalls. And that's where we'll take a real deep dive into conceptual design and what that means. But in a nutshell, what we're after here is just figuring out what the project is, right? What are we going to do and how much it's going to cost? Okay. Now, here's one of the great nuggets of working with a design build firm like ourselves, is that we can start to come up with some design solutions. One of our architects and designers can talk to you about what your wants and needs are and come with some design solutions, and then very quickly start putting some estimates to that. Because what you want to do may or may not be lining up with what you want to spend, but that's what we want to figure out, right? Most, I'll say most, but probably all of our clients, what they want to do and what they want to spend tend to be two different things. So when do we want to get those into balance? Sooner rather than later. Because once we have our hands around what the project is, what the conceptual design is, and it's the right amount for us to spend on the house, then we'll get into the design development. And that's when we'll start to dive into all of the details. That's when we'll start to look at all of the elevations, get the engineer involved. Maybe we can click to the next slide. Yeah, design development. We'll develop the design. Start working on some of the interior design, picking out all the materials, start developing a color palette for you so we can go and use that to start picking countertops and tile and flooring and all of that good stuff. And the end of that, we end up with a great set of working drawings that not only can we take to the city and get permitted, that's sort of the baseline for working drawings, but we now have a set of drawings that we can build to. So when Reg gets involved, and he'll talk about this later, he's got a good set of drawings, knows what he's building. It's also meaningful for you to understand what the project's looking like. So we'll figure out all those details, draw them. I'll show you an example in a second. And then really, here's the second nugget of the design build process, is now we can give you a price that's going to be guaranteed. We'll give you a construction cost that's guaranteed, which that is hard to find. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we are the only construction company that will guarantee our costs before we start construction on your project. And again, if you'd like to learn more about this design development piece of the puzzle, go to the YouTube. You'll see the art of the interior design, where we focus on another project and talk about the design development. But let's just spend a couple moments going a little bit deeper into this. So here, for example, is a set of working drawings, okay? There's a couple of cool things here. Oftentimes people ask, why do I need working drawings? What does that mean? Well, we wanted to do this cool thing. If you look at this drawing right here, okay, these are the stairs going down to the basement. And we didn't want just a plain old screen. We wanted some screen, and we also needed to prevent little kids from falling down this stairwell. But we also loved this effect of these spindles coming all the way down, right? Talk about a challenge that Reg had. So we had these things coming, solid pieces of teak from the ceiling and landing on each stair, okay? So we need to understand what that is and draw that out. make sure you like it, make sure you understand what it is, and then end up with a set of drawings that we can use to build this. The other thing we're going to focus on a little bit, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but our designer also had this idea of this floating cabinet, okay? You're going to see in a minute, there's this where the kitchen dining room area is, and then the staircase went below, and then we wanted to create this dramatic backdrop with this floating staircase, okay? So let's zoom into that floating staircase, because what is that? What does that mean? What does it look like? How is it even going to be built? And you're going to hear Reg talk about in a minute the idea of having a designer involved, not just during the design, but when we're in construction. So he can look and see. So this thing was literally floating from the ceiling, okay? And we're going to see pictures of this in action with just these two standoffs holding this thing up to create that look. Now, it's one thing as a designer to draw something like this, okay? It's a whole nother thing to actually build it, right? To have it be level, to have it be stable. You know, I always hear this thing, you know, as an architect, oh, architects can draw anything, but a lot of the stuff that they draw can't be built, okay? Now, I'm here to say, if you can get your designer and get your builder together on the same page and not be fighting with each other, but instead working together to figure this out, beautiful things like this can happen. And I can't wait for you guys to see the picture of this final piece. Let's look at some other things that we use in design development. We'll start to really develop floor plans so you can start to see, you know, how big is our shower, right? How, you know, where is that toilet room? Not only that, but we want to look at elevations. And you're going to see this in a minute, because one of the cool things that we did in this project is this whole open area here is an open shower. And this is the wall of the shower. It's a little hard to see in this picture, but you have a shower head right here. You have a valve or a control right here and some niches, right? So that's what I see if I'm looking at this wall right here. So again, from a design point of view, we got this great idea. Hey, we've got the Zen bathroom that you're after. How are we going to do that? Well, we've got this idea that we can have this big shower, that the shower could be kind of open to the bathroom. Okay, you wonder, well, what does that look like? Well, let's start drawing it and show you what it can look like. And in fact, we can take it even further. We can start to look at some rendering, some 3D computer models, right? Maybe, Bill, you can walk us through some of these renderings and help us understand how it helped them understand the concepts we were trying to pitch.
Yeah, one of the fascinating things about this project is, you know, the clients traveled quite a bit, brought back a lot of inspiration photos. And we knew very clearly or quickly that we wanted to have something that was very open and very sculptural. And so when the clients came to us, they were at a phase in their life, as Bill said, it was their dream home. And they knew they wanted to have something that their kids could come to and their grandkids could come to, and yet they wanted this spa retreat. And when the details are as sculptural and minimal as this, sometimes it's really helpful not just have it in 2 dimensions on the plan. You pop it up in 3D. Now you really feel the space and you can see the angles and the detail and how sculptural that island is. Then when you get to the cabinet meeting in real life, you're building it and tweaking it even further. So those 3 steps in the process are just exceedingly helpful, especially in a project like this. And there you see it in the final analysis. Very open plan. Same thing with the back pool. The clients wanted to have there's 2 pools on this property. There's a front pool that is for the grandkids and family and entertainment. And in the back, there's this incredible, it's just a spa. And so this is a really nice rendering of kind of the textures and details we had to put this pool together. There it is in real life. Just stunning.
Very nice. Here
also, a dressing room. We had 4 bedrooms in this house originally. And now, because there was 2 people living here, we ended up with 3. We took 2 of the bedrooms, kind of combined them together to create that dressing room and spa wing. And this is a nice kind of showing how that came together. It is their dream home. And I have to tell you, honestly, I kind of wanted to move into it. I kept teasing them, where's my room? It's really a wonderful home.
And now we're ready to construct for construction, right? We've figured out what we're going to do. We're ready to go get to the city, get our approvals. But really, most importantly, what we want to do in that design development process is not just get ready for permits or pricing or anything like that, but make sure you understand what the project is, how it's going to come together, what it's going to look like, and are you getting what you want, right? Because no matter what you're considering doing, anything from a kitchen model to this home where it was a major remodel or a brand new home, you really aren't going to know what it's going to look like until it's built, okay? So we want to take the time during the design development to make sure you understand as much as possible what the end result is going to be. Because then when we get into construction, now we can really make sure that it is fulfilling in that dream. We'll have a pre-construction meeting talking about how we're going to be working together, what's going to be happening, what we're doing with schedule. We'll have key meetings. You know, Bill mentioned earlier this idea of a cabinet meeting, and we'll spend all this time drawing the cabinets. But before we start cutting the wood, we'll stand there with the cabinet maker because they'll have some input about how these things can come together. Same thing with the electrical. We'll do an electrical plan, but before we wire everything, we'll walk through with you, make sure the switch is on the right side. You have the right amount of lights. All of those things, we want to make sure, you know, that you're getting what you want. And then finally, once we're getting ready to get done and you're looking at this and going, you know, looking at someone like Reg and going, Reg, this thing looks so done. Can I start cooking in my kitchen? Can I take a shower in my bathroom? Right? We'll work on the getting you in. But there'll be little things we may still need to take care of. So we'll go through, list all of those things out, and stay with you until we have all of those things off of the list and everything is just the way that you want it. That's when we'll pop the champagne and have a project completion. We call it a project completion meeting, but it's really kind of a project completion party in a lot of ways to celebrate how we got there. Yeah. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper into this. And Bill, one of the things I'd like maybe to hear a little bit more about, you told me a story that these clients actually had a couple of properties around the corner from this one, and they were considering remodeling those homes. And how did they get to this house?
Yeah, as I've mentioned before, they had this program that was kind of a two-piece program. They wanted to open the house up, be very accepting and entertaining, bring grandkids back, and then they also wanted this kind of real quiet Zen retreat spa feel. They had another home around the corner that they owned. We first looked at bringing that program to that house, and oddly, it would have required us doing some additions to that house. Then this home came up for sale, and it had the right amount of room to it. So what we did was we kind of rethought that program through to fit this property, and because of the way that kind of cascaded down from the backyard to the front, it fit really nicely for the spa pool, the lap pool spa, and then the front of house entertainment area. So we just redid the entire conceptual design study on this house, but brought most all the same elements over, looked at it and decided this was the best place for them. So the conceptual design study was both what's the best design for them and what's the best house for them to have that design in.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, it's interesting for people looking, you know, I talk to a lot of people, should I stay in this house, you know, by the time I make all these changes, or should I just go and buy a new house, you know? And in this case, the answer was, okay, I want to go buy a new house, but hey, Bill, come with me and help me understand what I need to do to make this house the way that I want it. And so having a partner right from the get-go that's able to kind of help you analyze at that level, at that high level, about what may be best for you, knowing what you're trying to get. Wow, that's the start of a really great relationship like this one. Okay, Bill, Reg, why don't you take us through the house? We're going to see some fun things here.
And here's the before picture. You can kind of see in the this bedroom, that bedroom area here, it was compartmentalized. So that was one of the areas that we turned from what were once bedrooms into their spa and bathroom and kind of dressing area. Same thing with the kitchen, very compartmentalized. Excuse my horrible drawing. My bad circles. The kitchen was very compartmentalized too. So we wanted to open all of that up. You'll see in the next, I think the next drawing shows. There you see that back lap pool, the closet area where those two bedrooms were, and you can see how the kitchen's now completely opened up.
Yeah, and I want to point out one thing. you know, I talked about earlier, and we're going to see in a minute that the staircase, right? So here's the stairs going down. And we didn't want a wall along here, but, you know, we also didn't want kids or anybody like that to fall down the stairs. So you're going to see those cool spindles here in a minute. And then that floating cabinet, I think it's a fun detail just to kind of sitting right here. So we're going to, just to kind of orient you on where that is.
One other thing I'd like to say too is that we mentioned earlier about meetings, and we did weekly meetings on this project where the clients were there, interior design, architecture, construction. And when you look at the level of detail in this place, everybody was very involved. I mean, we went shopping, we cooked in appliances and made lunch. We sat in tubs, we went and picked out stone from yard. So they were very involved, and we've done projects where people have been in France and we've done all of it by Skype and some other place. But that, when you look at the level of detail here, a lot of it shows that it was a solid team getting together once a week, fussing over every detail, and it really shows in this project.
Yeah, one thing I think is really fun here too is here's the entry, and you can see the garage. So generally they're parking their cars over here, right? But they didn't necessarily want to come in like, let's at the grocery store, come all the way in through here, okay? So I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to point it out. There's a hidden door right here. And when you're standing on the front entry, you don't even see that door, okay? So we didn't want two doors on their front porch, but then when they park, they can come in through the laundry room and right into the kitchen there, right? So kind of a fun little thing. If we spend time with you and understand what it is you're trying to get out of it, we can find little solutions that may not become apparent unless we're spending time understanding how you want to live in your home.
When Patrick, the architect, wanted to make this door invisible from the outside, I thought, oh my gosh, we're going down a rabbit hole here. So it was quite something, but we pulled it off. I mean, it really looks great, and it's virtually invisible from the outside.
It is, and made it much more elegant, to Bill's point, for them to bring, come in and bring things into the house.
Absolutely, she uses it all the time. She admits that she loves it. Yeah. It's funny, seeing these old pictures and then you kind of forget what the house looked like, because we spent so much time in this house, and the first thing you do is kind of tear it apart, and you kind of forget really quickly what it looked like. But how wonderful it is, though, when we put it back together, how it just flows so nicely. And
it's before and after of the living room. You can see the whole lap pool out there.
All right, let's move a little deeper into the house.
Still moving through the living room, kind of there. You can see that screen wall that Bill was talking about. That was a real feat of carpentry. It is dead on perfect, and it has a safety feature. There's the railing that was there before, and when you see it's a real feat of carpentry the way that came out. It's beautiful too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's kind of both solid and transparent depending on your angle of it. It's stunning. And this is the family room. Redone there, cabinetry redone. I wish we could get a shot of that hidden door, Reg. Can you explain that door in that hallway?
Oh, that's a tough one to explain, but yeah, Patrick. So originally we had a design for having two doors in the hallway. So as soon as you walk through the door to your left on the screen, you can turn right to go to the master suite or turn left to go to his closet. And we just had traditional doors with, like 6-8 doors. And the ceiling height is about 8 feet. The hallway is about 3.5 feet wide. And Patrick said, I've been thinking about this area. Patrick, the architect, I've been thinking about this. I like to try to make these doors hidden. So I don't want a header. I want the door go all the way to the ceiling and all the way to the wall. So I just want to be able to close the door and not see any hardware or any pulls. But when the door was opened, he wanted to have it kind of blend into the wall. So we had to really kind of think about how we're going to do this, but we were able to get this door. So when it's open, it's flush with the side of the wall, with the hallway wall. And then when it was closed, it was fully closed against the wall and ceiling. So it just looked like another wall.
It was a feat of engineering that got Reg wide-eyed, just like the hidden door coming into the kitchen.
We have this saying where there's more thoughts per square foot, but in this case was more thoughts per square inch. I swear we must have spent.
This is my fault for bringing up something we don't have a photograph of.
I'm sorry. I wish we did, because in the end we were very, very proud of what we were able to pull off there. It
was equally stunning to the feet of the hidden door coming in. And it's all new quartzite there for the fireplace, for that in the hearth, white oak flooring. You see a lot of walnut and white oak in the kitchen too.
And that's something, actually, the homeowner came to us and said, I want to put an 80-inch TV here. Can we do it?
It's beautiful.
Working our way around to the kitchen.
Yeah.
There's that cabinet. Again, when Patrick came to us, he said, this is the cabinet. I want it to look like it's floating. And I said, well, that's great, but we got to figure out how to make it stable.
Well, and I think that, this illustrates Bill's nice point too about that stair divider being transparent, but yet also being solid, So you could imagine how different it was in that before picture with that solid wall between us and the stair. But now by creating a cabinet and something that's semi-transparent, now we visually, psychologically, we can feel that whole volume of space and it's not walled off. And then not only that, when you go down the stairs, it doesn't feel like you're descending through a cave or something like that. Right. You actually have an open feeling as you're going down the stairs. It's a really, really nice effect.
When you're in a more traditional home that has a lot of detail and moldings and intricate details, it's a lot easier to you look past. It's hard to focus on things because there's so much detail. In a house like this, where it's very minimal and very sculptural, every tiny transition, every place where wood meets stone or meets a wall has to be dead on. It's not forgiving. I mean, we spent a lot of time in this project at those weekly meetings, huddled around details, mocking stuff up and looking, saying, well, if this happens and that happens. And I always say it's like when a guitar comes into tune, you get 3 or 4 of us on a team and we look at it and we go, there it is right there. Yeah. It just comes into being. But this house and this project, every one of those details had to be just so.
I mean, you can tell by even with the cabinetry, we have floor to ceiling cabinetry, and the reveal at the top of at the ceiling is exactly 1/2 inch all the way across. So not only do we need to have our floors perfectly level, but the ceiling have to be parallel with the floors, right? So it's very challenging when there's no moldings to hide any imperfections in things.
You can see that door at the back of the shot. I draw on the screen, but I don't seem to be doing a very good job of that. Thank you. That's actually a pocket door that pulls in and divides that laundry space that we talked about that the secret door came in. So you can kind of close that space off if you want or open it up.
It's also cool too, because when the door is stowed, it comes all the way back here, and this becomes a floating shelf, and this becomes a cabinet and a countertop accessible from both sides of the room. Very neat.
That's before. Yeah, there's that long view of the kitchen. We opened that whole space up too. They do a lot of entertaining, having people over, and so this turned out really beautiful. That's kind of statuary marble on the right that waterfalls over the white.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. I get the question a lot of, is it okay to mix woods, wood colors, wood species? And I don't know, I see at least 2 kinds of wood. Maybe we have 3 kinds of wood that are being seen here.
Just 2, Bill.
Yeah. Okay.
We have the walnut and the white oak.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful view out to the front of the house.
It's quite a property. Now, this whole area we just constructed from scratch. The decks weren't even there. So we built this deck and the deck behind it, which I think you see in the next shot, which is the teak deck. Here you get a real good view on the video.
This is the deck off of the dining room, and the kitchen window overlooks the kitchen overlooks this deck.
And more before and afters. It's just a very, very, simple and modern and zen and elegant. I mean, it's a bunch of things there's a bunch of adjectives that come to mind with this project.
Yeah.
It's very simple, but it's still very warm. Range. And what is that in the two cabinets that flank the hood there, Reg?
Well, we have a steel door on the right.
Right.
And the left is just a display cabinet. I think she's got a sculpture in there.
I remember we did steel door on the right. That's what it was.
Yeah. And it's really kind of, you know, that cabinet is about 11 feet long. So it's quite long. I mean, it's very long. So it's quite something.
Yeah, here's the Venetian black powder room. I've had a lot of time playing with these details too. And that's a custom concrete sink, custom cast concrete sink too. Very nice.
And then talk about that black texture on the wall, Bill. That's just gorgeous.
Yeah, Venetian plaster. We have some Venetian plaster in the master bath and this bath. And we were all playing with how deep could it get. It had to be deep enough and be rich enough, but we didn't want it to get too dark. And we played with it quite a bit. It turned out just really lovely.
I also like seeing fun little details. You talk about a cast concrete sink. Well, it's also a toilet paper holder. Nice detail there.
You can do that when you make your own sinks.
Yeah.
There's your before and after. Quite different.
And we used wall-mounted commodes so that there's the visual sort of lines can kind of carry through underneath the toilet. You know, that you can see the tile go underneath it. So it makes it very, very open feeling.
Much like that other cabinet, the whole thing floats.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I remember when the designer said, you know, I want this to be black. I thought, oh my gosh, she's lost it. But it's really one of my favorite rooms. It truly is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, very stunning. There's the shower, and we have that similar vertical detail that you saw along the staircase replicated here. So there's kind of a conversation between. Yeah, I think you can actually see outside, see the beginning of it on the outside on the hallway too.
Yeah.
So they're speaking to each other across those two rooms.
And there's a sliding door too, so that I can close off we can close a shower area off from the powder room area. So that teak wall can close onto itself.
This happens often. You'll see when we get to the pool too. We'll have clients who, when they finally can get away, and the pandemic certainly have kept people from doing much of this, they'll get away and they'll stay in some resort or five-star hotel, and they see some beautiful little detail that when they're finally relaxed and not thinking about work, they'll come back with this photograph. Can you do this? Or have you ever seen this? And a lot of the elements in here kind of feel that way. It's like a really, really wonderful spa resort. So that's, that screen wall, the floating cabinet, all of this, we tried to open that floor plan as much as we possibly could. So much of this house was segmented off, and a huge amount of what we did here was to some screening details, but really open up the floor plan. Very nice collection of art too. Now we're in the master suite, your master bedroom. You can kind of see out onto the deck there too. And this was the bathroom before, kind of really in three parts.
Yeah.
This was, a wonderful thing to work on. Teak floor, you can see, that teak runs all the way through there. The section's right under the showers. It's got a drain and waterproofing underneath it, and that teak panel can just be lifted out if it needs to be re-oiled.
And this is the shower that I pointed out when we were looking at the working drawings. You can see the shower head and the valve. Okay. Things can change while we're in construction too. We have a foot washer down here, which is kind of cool. And then what's this up here, Reg?
That's your rain shower, music console, light show. Yeah.
And so you're standing in the bedroom taking your shower. Here's your niches that we talked about. And then as Bill mentioned, you can stand on the teak, and then all of that teak can be lifted up, cleaned out, and that drain is underneath there. So we don't even see a drain in the floor. And Reg took the time to make sure that the teak and that tile right here completely flush. No stubbing toes, no stepping up onto a curb, anything like that. And then any of the slope drain happens underneath of this teak. So all the water can run in and drain out.
And that's
wonderful.
All tiled underneath that teak panel, and actually the teak panel aligns with the teak floor as well. So we made sure that the boards aligned with the teak floor that's glued down. That's not removable.
That quartzite wall, that was a painting we picked. I mean, we spent a lot of time in the stone yard because you're standing back and looking, and you know that it's going to be this wall. So you're really picking an art piece for that.
3 slabs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stone there.
Heated towel bar there too.
Looking back the other way.
Yeah. So we have private water closets, his and hers private water closets. Those are rice paper glass with rice paper inside for the privacy.
There's the before.
Another floating cabinet, very nice detail. And here's what Bill and Reg are talking about, where a cabinet meets a wall, a countertop meets a wall, a cabinet meets a wall, all of that, nothing to hide there. That all has to be just executed perfectly.
No, you do not have the forgiving aspects of trim and moldings, and it's got to be perfect.
Well, even the details on the water closets, we still have the 1/2-inch detail at the ceiling and at the floor. Again, no crown molding to hide things. No, yeah, it has to be just perfect.
Just dead on. And it's a stunning bathroom. Certainly one of the nicer ones we produced.
Yeah.
And you're right, that Rainhead does everything but do your taxes. Memory serves, gives you astrological forecasts. It's something else. And the tub here was custom cast too.
Yeah, that's like a 1,500-pound concrete kind of Roman tub. We have the steps going down, and then we have this sort of floating bench seat. You can kind of just see it in the corner down the bottom. There you go. So if you're in the shower, if you're showering, you can sit there and maybe, or put your feet up to shave your leg or something. Or if you're in the bathtub, you can put things in the kind of the niche, and you can put your products down there or candles or anything. And then we have a little hand sprayer there that comes out that you can use to rinse off or clean the tub. But
how about that glass?
That's more of that rice paper glass from Pulp Studios. So it's a laminated glass with rice paper in between.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
this is the 2 bedrooms that were turned into that whole his and hers closets.
Yeah. I'll let you guess which closet is hers and which is his. Both lovely closets, but yeah, it's a lovely closet.
Yeah, same white oak floor going all the way through.
And virtually, I think the same color walls. So everything is very harmonious. It just, it transitions from one area to the next with the flooring, the colors, the palettes that we use, the wood species. Everything's very Zen-like, like we were saying earlier.
How did she feel about a window in her dressing room?
Yeah, she liked it. I mean, we wanted the light. And then, we have the transoms up high. So it brought in some nice, light. And fortunately, it was from the north. So it was no direct sun. So, and then she's got electric shades that she can pull down.
And there's quite a bit of privacy on the outside too. This whole back of the house really is our hotel. Yeah.
We have privacy film on a lot of the bathroom windows too, that you can turn on or off. So you can, you can open them, turn them off so that you can see the garden, and then you can turn them off if, the gardeners are there, or they're, if they want more privacy, they can turn them on.
Yeah, it's
just so Reg, that's a sheet or a treatment to the glass that you flip a switch and it goes from being able to see through, transparent, to opaque. So
Correct.
you 1 minute can be looking out, oh, the gardener's here. I flip a switch and that goes opaque.
That's right.
Right. Very cool effect.
Yeah.
High tech. And now for something completely different. It's her office, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Office, craft room. So she paints, she knits, and you don't see there's a built-in bookcase behind us here, and with all her yarn and stuff. It's quite pretty, actually. Very colorful.
So now we step into the backyard.
That's the old backyard. We did a job walk before we started the project. We invite all the subcontractors to the job. We look at the job. If people have questions about how we're going to execute things and access, and that's the new backyard.
And this is a dead on to the millimeter Olympic length pool. Yeah. One of the clients was this was what they were waiting for in this home. We have a hot pool and a cold plunge pool, which I might have been partially responsible for. I'm a evangelist of cold plunge pools, and they were really happy to put that in.
Talk about this backdrop here too that I'm looking at, because as you can see in some of the photos, we see this pool in the home, but I'm guessing we wanted something interesting to look at, and that's certainly interesting to look at.
Yeah, in part, again, we wanted that feel of the inside outside to be harmonious. So we have a lot of teak inside, and felt that lent itself well around the pool. So all these panels, that sort of the walkway around the pool is all teak and removable panels, so they can be serviced. And then we have proper drainage underneath, so when it rains, the water won't just sit on top of your decking. It'll go through and properly drain out of the area. And then the concrete, again, there's just no transition between concrete and the deck and the teak decking.
We want a real organic feel to the yard. Terraces down quite quickly. So you see those are steel Corten panels up the hillside that are helping terrace it down, and then cut vertical stone that kind of lines the pool butts up against the waterfall. So you're getting, you're going to have to terrace the yard, but you want it to feel a bit more organic as it steps down.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful too.
That's the old water fountain. And then the stairs going up to the back part of the yard, so you can walk across. And
nice little water feature here too.
Yeah,
I like this mix of this very natural and very sort of high tech as well. It's a nice contrast there.
And you step down the pool from two different places. So you can step down from the deck here. You're not interrupting the actual 8-foot wide Olympic length pool. And there's another step down at the other side also that gets you in before you interrupt that. So that lane is a perfect Olympic lane. And then we tiled the pool too. I think I have a photograph of that coming up. We were going to plaster the pool. They came back from a trip and they had seen a mosaic tile at a pool. And so we tiled the entire pool. Yeah. Really beautiful. There's a before out of it.
Here also. You can see, look at what we talk about, that hillside. That hillside's coming down and it's not level until we get almost underneath the roof. Yeah. Just to give you all a sense of how much of this needed to get pushed back or dug out to get that pool and the yard in place.
The shades were not installed at this point, right, Reg, when they took this photograph?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The shades were not installed at this point, yes?
That's right. So the open panels that you see towards the end of the pool now have retractable shade installed. And that's mostly to prevent kind of the pine tree, the needles to kind of fall in the pool, and to kind of give you and protection from the sun. But yeah, so now those last 4 panels have retractable shades.
And this is your cold pool and your hot pool. Is that what I see there, Bill?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Pretty
if you're interested in knowing more about that, you'll have to email Bill Baldwin. He'll bring you up to speed.
Tell you all the health benefits. It's an acquired taste, but it's wonderful. There's the tile there. You can see that we laid all the way through the pool.
How cold is the cold pool and how hot is the hot pool?
Well, you can set them. I think the client set it, which is typical for a hotel. The cold pool is set at 50 degrees, but you do get used to it. But I won't get into a whole bit of detail about it, but it's really good for the human body to get some temperature extremes, because we get in 70-degree cars and go into 70-degree offices and live in 70-degree homes. So there's something to it. I'll get off that now. I'll get off my soapbox.
So the idea is you sit in a 50-degree pool or a 45-degree pool for how many minutes?
Seconds.
Yeah. No, what's better from a health perspective, you do 3 rounds, 3 minutes in the hot pool. It's a lot easier to get in the cold pool once you've been in the hot pool. So you're at 100 degrees, then you go in the 50-degree water for a minute, back in for 3, and then back. You do 3 rounds of that. And great for your immune system, endorphins. I could go on and on. I would go on and on.
It's an interesting thing, though. And to have it in your home would be great.
So one of the challenges here right from the get-go is you can kind of see the steel structure for the pool cover. extends over the house, and then down, we have posts going down into the house. So, and because there's no, and we have windows in between steel posts. And so everything had to be set just perfectly, right from foundation to the steel work, because there was just no play. And a lot of times the cabinets, actually sides of the cabinets went into the window well. So they became kind of the jambs of your window. So it was just, the details were just unbelievable here.
It's like a perfect puzzle.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
A little bit of drone video here.
Yeah.
And the very second we got this pool done, he was in it. Very fit human being.
All right. Well, thank you, Reg and Bill, for walking us through this project. We're a little bit over our time, but I think that was well worth it. Wanted to leave a little bit of room here at the end for some questions and answers. While we're pulling those together, I want to just make you aware of a couple other webinars coming up. We're all itching to get through with our pandemic so we can be out and actually standing in these homes with you. But this way you get to sit home and in your comfy chair and look at all this. On March 11th, we're going to have another construction showcase similar to what we just went through this evening, but in a more traditional house, the house you see on the right-hand side there. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, getting some inspiration, seeing a little bit more traditional design and architecture, make sure keep your eyes out for that. March 24th, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into design development and what that means and what the result of that is. And then at the bottom there, I'll mention if you would like to have one of us come out and spend a little time with you talking about who we are and what you want to do and trying to decide if this is a good fit for us, for both of us, let us know. And we'd be happy to do that. And then, of course, stay connected. That's the best way to kind of be up to speed with the webinars. And once we're out and about again, we'll be having showcases and tours of mid-construction and completed construction projects. So we're on all of your most of your social media platforms. I haven't discovered them, but I've heard of all sorts of new ones now that I don't care to know much more about. But Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Houzz, Twitter, you can find us on all of those. So stay in touch and keep abreast as to what we've got going on and what we've got going next. So that pretty much wraps up the content. Did we have any questions tonight?
Yeah, it looks like we answered all of our questions here, but I did save one here, and I think everyone would like to know this, but how long was this project in construction?
So yeah, I can answer that. So we started in March, basically just over a year. So they were back in, started moving things in kind of a year and a month later. I think they start moving furniture in April or something like that. So just over a year on this project.
Good question. All right. Well, if there's no further questions, I want to thank you all for spending some of your evening with us. I hope it was helpful. Hope you got some inspiration, some wind beneath your wings to journey into your remodeling quest. So again, stay in touch. Thank you all for coming. Hope it was helpful. And I hope to see you all on our webinar in the future. All right. Good night.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.